How do you manage the pressures of social dancing and how everything moves so fast and that FOMO that eats us inside? Well, let's find out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Zouk Nerds. In today's episode, we're going to have a discussion about how to deal with the FOMO, the pressure, and the pace that the arts community, as in our dance community, moves, and how to stay calm and happy with our own progression and with everything that is happening around us without feeling too much pressure. So, let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Zouk Nerds. My name is Alisson Sanji, and today we have our beautiful co-host here, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, everybody. One more episode. Very excited for this one.
Yeah, so we just finished our last episode and we were talking about pacing your body, pacing your mind, pacing your life, and how that affects us as dancers, not just full-time dancers or teachers or professionals, organizers, or anything like that, but as people in the dance community and how that affects our body and mind. But while we're having that conversation, we actually thought about a topic that we did discuss before, which is pacing in our learning, pacing in our progression, pacing and patience and trust in the process. Because dance as an art moves so fast that even us as professionals, we feel the pressure and we feel that next thing, oh my God, people are doing this, I got to learn that. Or the community is craving for this, I must be a master of that. I remember the days of counterbalances. Oh my God, everybody's doing counterbalances. So you need to learn all the counterbalances and even create some of your own to have some unique flavors to bring to the market. But we need to be more patient about it. And to link to this topic, Guy just came back from a retreat in Bali that I believe you have a lot of experience to share about that retreat, Guy.
Definitely. That retreat, first of all, it's one of the most wholesome experiences, I think, that I participate as a movement facilitator. The retreat encompasses several different ways of approaching body and mind and consciousness and emotions and movement and all these things. A lot of teachers from different aspects of movement and dance. And there were classes dedicated to find this place inside of your body of silence and peace, of calm, of really pacing, pacing everything a little bit more calm. And it was fascinating because while we were in workshops that had that content, we were also having these workshops in the context of a schedule that had all these other things as well. So the pacing in the sense of how much we were doing, because we were waking up at 7:30 a.m., a little before, we have our morning meditation and we'll go with activities all the way to 9 p.m. And by the end of the day, our bodies were so tired and our minds were so filled with ideas that we realize the importance of giving some time for that to be digested. So the importance of the pacing between acquiring knowledge, absorbing the knowledge, applying the knowledge, go for the next knowledge became really evident. We're like, man, this is so important. It's super important that we provide this much time for absorption. And we have also an example in our own community. One of our students that has been taking classes for forever stopped taking classes. And then I see him in the social and he's dancing so beautifully. And then I came to him and I was like, man, when did you become so sexy? I don't remember you looking at your partner and smiling the way you're doing. Your body movements, you look so beautiful dancing. What happened? Some people argue that was because he went to Burning Man. But then when I talked to him, he said, I think it was because I stopped taking as many classes as I was taking. He said, I was taking so many classes that I was always in my head trying and practicing something new that I've just learned. When I paced myself in the classes part, I didn't use these words, but I'm using just for, to fit here. When I stopped taking classes, it was like I was able to finally absorb everything I learned and the movements got into my body. And that was beautiful. That was an amazing reminder. And I think we talked about this in a previous episode, to take our breaks. I think we mentioned that we celebrate when our students say, we're going to take a break. I'm like, yes, take a break.
Yeah. Yes.
Super important. And that was like the retreat in Bali, talking to our students, and our own experience reinforced the importance of allowing some time to have the content be absorbed in your body before you look for the new content. I'm not saying that that's the optimal thing to do. I think though it's something to try, to give it a go. When I was learning, in my first years of learning, all the amazing dancers from the school, they had at least 6 years of dancing. So knowing that there was a path that would take more or less 6 years, in an interesting way, took me out of the feeling of rushing to get to that point. I was like, nah, I can take my time. It takes about 6 years. I'm still in year 2. I have time. So the absorption of the content came not from a place of unconscious desperation or unconscious sense of urgency. It comes more from a place of pure joy and excitement about that. So these are the reflections that came to mind when we started talking about the matter of pacing.
Well, for me, I am a slow learner, have always been, and I did think that was a problem at the beginning. And while it did take longer for me to learn, I appreciate it a lot more nowadays because it gave me the time to actually do it enough that it wouldn't just simply leave my body and I would forget it the next day. So taking time to learn things, whether it's consciously taking that time or just doing it for a little longer because your body and your mind needs it, I think it's a huge thing. And it's a huge thing for longevity and for being able to dance more inclusively. And I say that in a way because I find that being a slow learner allows me to try with more people while I'm learning. So while I'm trying with more people, while I'm learning, I learn not only the thing that I'm trying to learn, like let's say a move or a technique or a concept, but I also try and I learn in different bodies and in different moments with different music. I was jealous of people who would just see something on the dance floor or see something in the video and just figure it out and boom, they can do it.
I don't like them.
In a very positive light. There's a little bit of jealousy there.
Yeah.
We call it in Portuguese white jealousy.
Yes.
It's not a bad one. It's more of an appreciation and an envy. I think that's the word in English. You envy something that
But
can
not
be
in a destructive way at all. It's
No.
it's like an admiration kind of way. When you see someone doing something that you have been wanting to do for a long time and you say, God damn it. That kind of feeling, but it doesn't come with any sort of ill feeling or unpleasant sensation.
Yeah, so seeing those people learning so fast made me insecure for a long time. But then I realized that while it took longer for me to do it, I was able to do it with more people. And I was able to explain it to more students with different types of learning, different types of body, different types of cultural background, because I had so much trial and error that once I got it, I really got it. I got it
Mm.
front to back, back to front, up to down to up, reversed. I got it. And I could understand and explain it in a way that when I asked people who are fast learners, they just couldn't, because they would say, oh, well, you just got to do this. And to me, that never made sense. You
Mm.
know, when people say, oh, do this, hold this hand, go here, use your knees, your hips. I'm like, wait, one thing at a time, one small thing at a time. When I'm training dancing, I'm constantly trying to tell myself what I tell my students. I ask them, hey, can we just focus on this one thing? And then as we're practicing in a private lesson or in a group class, they start stressing about so many other things. And I ask them, no, wait. I understand that you're seeing all of those things, but that's just because we're shining the light so bright in this one thing. So let's just focus on that one thing. And the rest may suffer for the time being, but that's okay. That's part of the process. Which brings back a book that I read and I love that is called Peak, P-E-A-K. And it talks about deliberate practice. And it talks about how you can master any skill you want if you train in an efficient way for your brain and body. And that's one of the biggest things. Give yourself enough time on each small part instead of trying to get everything at the same time. And yes, sometimes you're going to be behind of the curve or behind of the trend, but at least in the end of the day, for me, what I want to do is to be able to do it efficiently, comfortably with anybody, and be able to explain in a way that it makes sense to anybody. That's my goal. That works for me. And that's the topic of what we want to talk about today. The struggles with FOMO, the struggles with, I got to keep up with the Johnsons. Johnsons? I don't know. I got to keep up
Johnsons. with the Johnsons, I think.
Got to keep up with some John. I don't know where that John is from, but I'm not looking for John. John can go ahead and run ahead. And I'm like, all right, see you when you want an explanation, because usually the John comes back to me and go like, hey, how do you teach that? And I'm like, now we talk, because I've done some serious deep research while you're running. I was just here pacing myself and learning and looking at all of the variables. And now let's talk about it. And it's no shame on anybody, because everybody has their strengths, and that's why the community is so diverse and so beautiful, which is also something that a lot of people talk to us and they can't believe that we work so well together. But that is because both of us are so similar, but just like from the outside look so different. Because the way we learn, the way we research, the way we test, the way we overanalyze everything is so similar that when we come together, it never feels to me that we are contradicting each other. At best, we're opening another door to go like, wow, there's that too. Wow, I didn't look into that door. I didn't even know it existed, or I didn't think it would work, so I didn't go there. It's very, very interesting. And I'm saying this because in the end of the day, to me, the way to not feel so stressed and so FOMO is just to realize that the way I learn and the way I dance is my own art. And I need to respect that. And I need to make sure that I'm not trying to be something else or someone else.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful message. It makes me think a lot of the phases of art. I remember studying a little bit of history of art. Actually, before middle school, I had art classes. Oh, and then also in high school, I had art classes. And we would study a little bit of the history of art. And there are these cyclical movements in art. We have the Greco-Roman style that we have in painting, Impressionism, Cubism, So like realism, all these different branches that branch out, and then they have their phase, they have their explosion. In the end, it's sort of everything comes back to, I think core elements of that art form. And in our art form, it's not different at all. Like I had someone saying counterbalance. Counterbalance for a while, it was the thing. I remember hiring an instructor that was really good at counterbalances to teach the Monday team specific counterbalances because they were asking for it. And then for a while, it was one-legged spins. I think it's dying out. I think the one-legged spins situation. And then now there is Desprezada. And then it became Desprezada touching the floor. So we have these cycles of what is on. And like you were saying, Mestre, with this idea of keeping up, there is this rush to learn the new things, both from those who are dancing and those who are teaching. And it's really hard to resist. I think sometimes it's really hard to not look at the fact that you don't know how to do those things and think you are obsolete or that you are getting obsolete. I don't know how you feel about that. If there is any like fear of becoming obsolete when you look at the things that are happening, you're like, man, I don't know this thing. Should I train it? Yes or no? I don't know. Maybe I should. So there's this should that keeps coming. It's not I want to train this. It's I should train this. So when you say I should train this, it doesn't come with that idea of full excitement necessarily. I think it also comes from idea that I have to, otherwise ... is gonna happen. And I have been doing this exercise in most classes that I have been teaching lately, including our regular classes, which is I get the students together in workshops and stuff, and I ask them to share with each other the feature or the quality of their favorite leader or follower. And none of them say, oh, my favorite leader does a peão that is amazing. My favorite follower can do a viradinha. Nobody mentions movements in any points. When they mention the characteristics of their ideal leader and follower, they mention presence, they mention patience, they mention attention, they mention time to shift weight with me, they mention walk together a little bit. So far, I've done this question, I've assessed this question many times, and so far, nobody mentioned a movement. So I use this as a reminder to myself and a reminder to them doing the exercise that what really matters in the end of the day is, I think, the soft skills of this art form, which is a social dance, therefore requires 2 or more people, and connection with somebody that you don't necessarily know, opening that communication and make it be a safe, enjoyable experience for both people involved. So I think a lot of the lack of pacing that we see these days, and that's my thinking, that's my story, yeah, is related with a lot with what you said, keeping up. Because if you don't keep up, you don't get dances. I had this conversation with several people, and when I ask what motivates you to learn this thing or to learn the other thing, asking from a place of curiosity, and they plainly said to get more dances. Because I see people dancing, that's what they are doing. So like, oh, so to get a dance, that's what I need to do as well. It's a very interesting, again, the scarcity mentality that we were talking about in the last episode. I think culturally, our dance is a social community dance. And the core elements of it are related to the interaction, not necessarily related to the movements. So I think the movements are like beautiful words that you can write poetry with, but it's not what is entirely necessary to communicate with each other. And I think when I was learning, that message was so strong that I was not so anxious to learn the new stuff, because it was very clear to me what was the most important part, which is clearly connecting, communicating with my partner in a way that it felt easy for the body and for the mind. But how do you feel about this thing of like, oh, I should do this, I should learn this thing, otherwise I will, I don't know, fall behind?
Well, I think for me, it all comes back to that tribal instinct that we have to belong to a group, to belong to a tribe. when we're talking about people wanting to do something, like a leader wanting to learn a move, or a follower feeling like they're missing out because they don't know that move or the technique. And then, like you're saying, people feeling like they're not getting answers as a leader or as a follower, and they feel like they're not belonging to that tribe, maybe because they don't know something. That is hard, because in the end of the day, as dance teachers, what we really want is our students to feel like they can dance with anybody and they can dance comfortably, not that they are always on top of the game with everything and the latest things. Because let's be honest, it's kind of thinking, oh, I need to be on top of all the news. That's impossible. Or I need to know everything about something. That's impossible. In the day and age that we live now, where information is created at a pace that is insane, not just information, but content that is created in a pace that is insane, it's virtually impossible. I remember back in the day when I was still learning in Brazil, and my teachers would go to Rio or to Sao Paulo for a training, and they would come back with like a couple of movements and technique. And that was the dish that we would serve and flavor for the next 6 months. That one thing, because we didn't have like social media or YouTube to be reminded of all of those things that we don't know. And yesterday, actually, I was watching a documentary that was talking about why we're all so tired every day.
I saw this one too.
Yeah? Why we're
Yeah.
all so tired every day nowadays. And in the documentary, they were talking about how our primate brain, like cave person brain, was only making a couple of decisions per day. So that meant that our brain wasn't very stressed throughout the day, or wasn't being used throughout the day to make decisions. But then they brought that brain that hasn't changed a lot to now, hundreds or thousands of years later. And that same brain is now making 10, 50 decisions in the first hour of the day. What shoes am I going to wear? What socks am I going to wear? What pants am I going to wear? What underwear? What shirt? Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Should I take this? Should I take that? And that's it. That's you just getting dressed. Should I put my hair up? Should I put my hair down? What should I eat? Should I prep for lunch? Should I not prep for lunch? If I don't prep for lunch, can I go out for lunch? No, but is that shop open? Is my friend available? That's within the first hour of your day.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 decisions. And I don't know if I'm correct about this, but I think he mentioned that some recent research has found that humans can make up to, like nowadays, can make up to 30,000 decisions a day. And that's insane. Then they were explaining how and why most people nowadays are very tired, like by 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. That is because you slept, if you have slept enough and well and healthy, you have fueled your brain with enough power and juice for a regular day based on a cave person brain. And then we're putting this into like overdrive. So by the first third of the day, if we split a day into like 6, 12, and 18 hours, the first third of the day already used the entire fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you survive? And it was a big wake-up call for me, and got me thinking a lot about like, what else in my life can I make less decisions about? As you can see on the video, or if you've seen Gui and I, we're very standardized with our clothing. And that's for a reason.
Yes.
That's for a very, very strong reason.
Yep.
You know, call it the Steve Jobs of clothing, but we're kind of like, okay, we've got these sets, so we don't have to make a decision. We've got these shoes, so we
Yes.
don't have to make a decision. In terms of food, I know Guy is more of a foodie and I'm not. So like for me, I'll eat the same thing every day, no problems, no stress, because I don't want to have to think about it. I want to save that juice that I have for everything else that I'm passionate and I really want to invest my time on. But it got me thinking, what else can I eliminate decisions on?
Yeah.
What do you think
Yeah. I
about in
think
your life?
it resonated so much after I watched that thing. Exactly. By 10 a.m., I have made so many decisions. And when it hits 3 p.m., I am so tired. And I always felt a little bit curious about it because I've been either sitting all day or doing very little physical activity, almost none. And I would feel really tired. And now I
And I
understood
felt
my
guilty.
brain. Yes.
Felt
Yes. I was
guilty.
like,
I'm
why am
like,
I
bro, I'm
tired?
not even working that much. Like, what? And like, but yeah, you're right.
Because we're making all these decisions all the time. And it's really interesting because when I was watching a video about blue zones, the lady was talking about the role that stress has in aging, in the aging process. And then she was realizing that the sheep breeders, that I don't know how they call in English the people that raise sheep, pastors.
Uh,
I don't know,
yeah. Sheep farmers,
shepherds. I don't know, like
those
the sheep
guys.
people. Those guys that live in the mountains of Italy. They realize that because the decisions they need to make are related to, okay, where do we take the sheep today? Oh, a sheep got lost. Oh, I found a sheep. Woohoo. Because of that pace of more straightforward decision-making process, their level of stress and cortisol in their bodies and their brains is so much lower. And they basically live longer and they take naps. So that's something.
Siesta.
Siesta. Here in the Americas, we abominate this here now. I'm in Asia, but I think maybe in Asia too, abominate the siestas. Unless you live in Europe, where the siesta, or in the south of Brazil, Santa Catarina, Paraná, at 2 o'clock, the stores close and just gonna open again at 4 because people are resting.
Really? I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, in the south of Brazil, that happens because it's maybe more recent European community that moves there. I mean, beginning turn of the century kind of thing. Still, they kept some of that tradition. So it made me think so much too after I watched that documentary. And like, I need to optimize or be very intentional about, decisions I'm going to make, how quick I'm going to go to face the computer, how quick I'm going to open the phone when I wake up in the morning. You invite a lot of reflections, and I watched it today. So it's still, brewing here in my brain.
We probably watched at the same time, but for you it was today.
Probably.
For me it was last night.
Probably, because I was watching earlier today, in the morning. And because it's almost 11 p.m. here for me, it's 11 a.m. for Addison. We are exactly 12 hours apart. And one thing that I wanted to also comment while you were talking about the belonging to the tribe part is that another really incredible thing about this retreat is that it gives the chance for leaders and followers to have separate discussions with the facilitators and present whatever is going on and be very open about it. And I'm really glad how open they were. And it's really, really fascinating to hear what goes on in the head of a primary leader in this dance, where there is this mentality at times that they have trained so much, they have put so many hours into the training that they don't see as fair that they are dancing with someone that hasn't put that much time and that much effort. And that is translated in a very practical way, the movements that they lead. They want to lead the movement that they have been practicing a long time, but the follower didn't learn or didn't practice or is beginning. And there's a frustration because they cannot follow. The follow on their ends feel that frustrating emanating towards them, notice that the leader is trying to do something, and then an alert pops up. I need to learn this thing. And then there is a sense of urgency to go and learn this thing. Every single time I teach a beginner, a follower, they want to know the head movements in a private lesson. They want to know. Today even. So there is this other part too, which is almost like a sense of, I put that much time, the person I'm dancing has to put that much time as well. I call it the pickiness curve. People, they are in the height of their pickiness in regards to who they invite to dance and how long they dance with that people for. And that, as all things that are related to humans, are really complex, really complex. Even talking about this, we are simplifying so much. The thing that I noticed is they get really curious about how to get out of the peak of the pickiness curve. I had a question from a leader that was literally, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I went on to explain the whole thing. How do I do it? So I think the sense of urgency and the problem with pacing also come from that wanting to belong to the clan, wanting to belong to the tribe situation that happens very in practice on the floor when people notice that, oh, somebody's leading me to something that I don't know. In order for me to excel in this environment, I need to learn that thing. And coming back to Brazil is really important for me because it serves me as a reminder when I go to the socials there for Dança de Salão, for all of our partner dances, where I see the crowds that I have been seeing for 15 years. They're still there. They're still coming to class and they enjoy dancing with each other. And when I watch them dancing, they are dancing the same way they have been dancing for 15 years. And they don't give the slightest fuck for whether or not they are behind the trends because their focus is on another one. And again, they are in an older crowd. Maybe when we get older, we will I understand what I need, I understand what is important. However, I think it's important to learn by observing those who have been doing a lot longer than me, And I think the opportunity that the retreat offer would be nice to be offered in more places. So then we could have these very honest conversations about what are the experiences in a very truthful way that people go through when they are social dancing that are preventing them to enjoy more or that are creating the anxiety, the idea that they need to be constantly pursuing improvements. Remember we talked about this idea of rethinking what progression means for our curriculum, what it means to progress in the dance. So what it means to improve in the dance. So it's just basically like the ongoing question for me right now. And when we talked about this many times.
That's another whole episode coming soon because that's something that has been brewing for a while. So it might be ready for us to talk about soon. And you were mentioning on the follower's perspective, that need of wanting to know something to be able to dance with people. And I want to say how I feel about it as a leader, because to me, I have to constantly fight the inner saboteur telling me, well, your followers don't enjoy your dances as much as they do with those other dances because you don't know these movements or you don't know these techniques. Because I'm watching somebody that I want to dance with, I'm watching a teacher, or I'm watching somebody that I've never met before, and I'm seeing them like big smiles, the body is smiling, the eyes are smiling, the hair is smiling, everything is smiling. And then I go and I dance with them. And for multiple reasons, maybe I'm too nervous, maybe I'm already in my head and all of those things. But in the end of the day, I just think, I don't know those things. And that's why, they want to do those things. And I wonder how much of that is true, because I do think that for the thrill seekers, that might be true. There are thrill seekers, leaders and followers. They just want the thrill and their wild rides. But this last weekend in the festival that I wanted to dance with one of the teachers. And when I finally got to dance with them at the end of the Sunday, I was like, oh man, I don't think my brain is working anymore. Oh well, I'm just going to not stress about this I'm just not going to put any expectations on this, and I'm just going to dance. I'm not going to think, do this, do that, do this, do that, because they like this. I'm just going to dance. And to my surprise, the follower had the biggest smile for most of the dance. They either looked pleased and relaxed or big smile. And I was like, oh, okay. So me being my true me and my most me is what makes somebody smile. It's not me trying to do what I saw other people doing. Maybe they were smiling because that is that leader being themselves. So they felt that genuine excitement, energy, like that true art that came from that leader. So if I danced with this follow, trying to be something like that leader, they wouldn't feel that from me because I wasn't being myself. So this is still new here. Like I've had this realization every now and then, but every now and then I also forget. So it's good to have that reminder.
What you said, it was top topic in our leader conversation. 3 leaders told to my face that they feel triggered when they watch me dance. And yeah, because of the loving element of the space where everything was welcomed, they said, I feel triggered because I see you doing these things that I want to do and I don't know how. And so there is this interesting level of resentment that comes with it, while at the same time, the level of curiosity that comes with it, while at the same time, the level of honesty as well that comes with it. And when they came to talk to me, I was first super happy that they have the courage. I don't think I would at all. And we had like these loving conversations about that, in the sense that basically they wanted to bring a joy to the person that they are dancing with, that they saw in their heads that when I was dancing, that joy was there and they wanted to do that, but they couldn't do. And I would tell them something really simple. I was like, there is something really simple here. I mean, I think it's simple, which is the matter of reputation, your reputation. And in this sense, it's like what you are known for. So with that idea, when the person comes to dance with you, they are in a place in their minds of more openness and more trust because of the reputation. So my work, what I'm actually doing is just, it's like I told them, just don't fuck it up. Because they were like, what do I do when the follower surrenders to me? I'll tell them, you don't fuck it up. I would tell them, like in Argentina, the tango ladies, they would hug me. They would put their noses on my neck, look straight in this direction with their eyes closed. Full trust from the get-go. What do I do? I just don't fuck it up. I told them, it's almost like for me, I'm driving a car and I need to be very gentle in the curves, very gentle when I push a brake. I need to be smooth in the ride so they can stay on their nap. And then we have our laps and stuff like that. But I like to remind people that sometimes, exactly like you shared, Alison, exactly like you shared, I'm so happy you shared that, because I have gone through the experience of going to a place where nobody knows who I am, or like 2 people know who I am. And my social dancing experience is widely different. It's incredibly, incredibly different. It changes completely when they know that I'm an instructor. Because I have gone to parties, especially in my first years of teaching, with the dance that I have, saying things, and the followed after. The first song is not even over, they're already saying goodbye. So it's a reminder that I think important to keep, that it's a 2-people process. You can be the most amazing, cozy, incredible person, incredible dancer. If the other person is not present with you, there are no private lessons you can take. There are no workshops you can do that can address that topic, because it's about someone else. So I think that realization that came to me, like 2018, the realization came to me some time ago. It was able for me to have this situation that you're saying, looking somebody dance with someone laughing and doing all the things, especially the people that dance with all the new trends of the lambada / Zouk mix of things. They do all these incredible cool things with the airplanes and stuff. I'm like, bruh, I cannot do those things at all. And if I go into the rabbit hole, I am so screwed. So I had to learn to, like, I know the things that I know, I'll do the things that I know, and I'll do them the way that I do. And let's see what happens. So I think for us, we start from a position of advantage that I think that people who are not in the public eye, I think it's important for them to understand that for being the public eye, trust is built even before the dance start. So that's what I told the leaders. You're going to go through a process of creating trust that it might take longer than it might take me. So comparing to me is really unfair to you, but these things are really easy to say, but to do is a completely different. But I'm happy that one of the leaders sent me a message and said that, oh, I think I understand now. I think I understand what you have been trying to say for 2 years. He just had the breakthrough. So it just takes some time. But I think what we can conclude here is that the matter of lacking of pacing has so many different facets to it. It comes from so many different places. What motivates people to just keep going, that it's super hard for us to pinpoint one cause and say, like, I work on this one thing here. I think it depends so much.
What do you do to pace yourself?
Nothing. I don't pace myself. I need to totally learn how to pace myself. I paced myself last year. I carefully planned pacing myself, but then the second half, I unpaced. So
you went back to the rat race.
100%. And then I realized, nope, don't like it at all. So I'm trying to pace myself, doing a morning routine where I meditate for 20 minutes, I write for 20 minutes. So I'm trying to slow it down in the morning. And that helps. That helps a lot. So I've been trying to do these small changes to my daily routine to help with the pacing. And the pacing of training, because I don't have someone full-time to train with, I gave up on it. I'm like, I'm going to train whenever I can train. And I'm going to train what I can train. So that part I need to let go. And that was really difficult. The fear, the anxiety that comes with it is enormous. That's why I like coming here to Taiwan, because when I come here, that's one of the reasons why I like Taiwan, because when I come here, I train almost every day, and I notice the difference that this makes.
And a lot of the times the training is not necessarily doing something new, but just having time for yourself.
Exactly.
This weekend, Christine and I, we didn't have a lot of time. Literally, usually our first dance after 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 2 months without seeing each other. Our first dance is the first demo. We didn't get to warm up. We didn't get to do anything. First dance after 2 months in front of the students and cameras, which is what happened this weekend anyway. But at the end of the weekend, we had 30 minutes between one thing and the other. And we just said, hey, let's practice a little bit. And literally for 30 minutes, we just did something that we did 3 months ago. Repeat, 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 repeat. Start and left hand, right hand. Go to the right, go to the left. Same thing. And it was all vertical because if you heard the last episode, Christina hurt her neck. So it was very much turn to the left, turn to the right. Soltinho, clockwise. Soltinho, counterclockwise. Block the soltinho, come back. Sort of like the lambada games. So we were practicing that idea of the lambada games and how to do Wi-Fi's and how to come back and how to do timing changes to dance on 1, on 2, on 3, on all of the timings. And we were just rereading a summary of what we practiced earlier. And that felt great. I think that 30 minutes made my social dance on that evening so much more enjoyable from inside. Not that I didn't enjoy the previous nights, but I think from the previous nights, I don't think I had enough on my cup to give. So my cup wasn't full enough to give. And then those 30 minutes just fill up my cup And on that Sunday evening, I was just, yes, let's go, let's dance. So I totally understand what you're saying, that you have to go sometimes travel halfway across the globe just to get a little bit of that feeling of, hey, I just spent some time doing something and it was filling up my own cup.
Yes, to nurture yourself. To nurture yourself. I agree so much with that. Super important. So important.
So I think, yeah, besides pacing ourselves and understanding the idea that comparing yourself or trying to be something else is not good for us, I keep repeating this to myself, especially when I'm getting into my head, but also this understanding that sometimes there's nothing else we can do. We do have to step back. And sometimes we do have to literally go for a massage just to like get the toxins out of the body. Or maybe your massage is spend the entire day in bed watching Netflix. Whatever you have to do, we have to nurture ourselves, fill up our tank before we can even look at ourselves and go like, hey, you should do better. Hey, you should be doing more. If you're already running empty, how could you?
Yeah, 100%. If you already don't have the energy,
Excitement, inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. That's so powerful. Another interesting thing that came of the conversations that I had in the past week was finding definitions for these terms that we use about progressing, evolving, getting better. Because there is this idea of, I want to get better. I want to progress in the dance. And sometimes the question that comes afterwards, what does it mean for you? Doesn't have a clear answer. And you see the person really go through this process right there in front of you of understanding what progress means. So sometimes we are all doing this in the inertia of thinking we need to improve, we need to get better. And then there's this reminder for me as well that in this art form specifically, the absorption of what you learn happens silently inside of your body, sometimes as you sleep. I tell people there was this movement in samba that I didn't know how to do for the love of God. And one day I wake up and I can do them. It was like during the night, my body was processing the download completed. Now I can do them. So
that's everything for me. Suddenly it just boom. Oh, that felt right. That felt good. How?
I think it's because of that. You're constantly learning. It's more because it's not visible immediately. We think there is more to do. And I think in the end of the day, if you take time to give time, your body is learning, even though you think it's not. And one day you're going to wake up and you will be able to do the thing. So that's something that I found really cool to go back to again last week in our conversations and hear from everybody their perspectives. And it was super beautiful, super nice, and helped me a lot to understand more about this idea of pacing yourself, seeking to get better, and finding time to rest.
This reminds me of something that I see on social media all the time. What we think progress is and what progress actually is. So what we think progress is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're always going up. But what actually the progress is like, okay, 1, 2, 1.5, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 2. And kind of like this constant up and down and up and down. To me, I consider that good progress. Or productivity. If we think about productivity, like good productivity might be up and down as well. We're not always performing better and better. My goal is to always be more efficient. So then I can do more, but not necessarily burn more fuel. With the same fuel that I have, I would like to do more. With the same body that I have, I would like to do more. So thinking about efficient ways to do things with my body, with my brain, with my emotions, in all of aspects of my life. So I think that
Amazing.
that's a good way to close today's episode, which was another deep and meaningful conversation between just the two of us and you who are listening now. So take
Yeah.
this very intimately as we were here in this room together. We thank you once again for being here with us. And we're looking forward to seeing you in our next episode.
See you guys next time.
Alrighty. Beijos, beijos. Abraços. Tchau.